Welcome to Dubai Expo 2020. Welcome to the Serbian Pavilion. It's great to see a big crowd today. Thanks everyone for coming. I heard that Argentina had Messi here a couple of weeks ago. Well, don't cry for me, Argentina, but top this. We have the best players in the world here, and it's a huge honor and a huge opportunity to talk to these people who managed to create amazing careers in esport, in industry that is still very young. And for every and each one of you, you'll be able to hear their stories and learn from their experience. Veliki pozdrav za sve one koji nas i prate putem interneta, putem streama. Jedan veliki pozdrav za Balkan i samo da unapred kažem svima vama da će ovaj razgovor, ovaj esport panel biti određen na engleskom jeziku. Don't worry, this was just a shout out for everyone who are watching us through the stream. I don't think they need any special introductions. You know them, you know their faces, they're superstars, not only in the Balkans but worldwide. Even so, NIKO, Hunter, and YNK. Let's just go with it. I didn't prepare it. Yeah, one round of applause. Thank you. It was a difficult season. It was a difficult year for them. So we really appreciate all of you guys coming today and talking about your careers. YNK, let's start with you. I mean, you're an analyst. You're used to talking live in front of the audience. You have a very interesting story. You did a lot of things in esports. I mean, you're an analyst now, but that's not the way you started, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually I started as a player, first and foremost, 1.6, then CSGO, right? We built a team at the start of CSGO because in 1.6 we never really had a team that was capable of competing globally, right? So CSGO was a new game, and you know, it was Kassad's idea, basically. You know, everyone's starting from scratch in a way. Let's build the team with some of the best players we have, and let's try to compete with the best. And that's what we did. We had some good success early on, 2013. We put ourselves on the map, so to speak. But yeah, after that, as it is, sometimes people lose motivation a little bit. And still, you know, 2013, 14, it's the early days. You know, the scene wasn't nearly as big as it is now. You're wondering how much future there is in it, really. So yeah, I took a step back from playing to finish my degree. And then I saw that tournaments are picking up, you know, in Belgrade, in Serbia. We had guys organizing a European championship for countries, not for teams. That was a new thing. And I saw observing, started picking that suddenly became a thing. Steel was doing it. So yeah, I just kind of offered myself to do it, to try and work that. It went well. I had ESL come to me to start doing tournaments as an observer. And that was awesome. Like, my first tournament was the Katowice Major in 2015, you know, where it was the first time we broke
What a ways to start, right?
Yeah,
with a major.
That was great. But I thought there was a gap at the desk, basically, where people weren't talking enough about the game, in-game stuff. You know, it was mostly storylines and whatnot. So yeah, I just kind of started molesting people to give me a chance to do both at the same time. And yeah, eventually I got my chance. It went well, so did that for a couple of years, and yeah, then I was coaching MIBR first, then FaZe with NIKO for a year and a half or so, and yeah, at that point the team ran its course. NIKO went and I went a separate way, and this year I was back on the desk.
Okay, so what do we got here? Observer, okay, player first, observer, analyst, coach. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and right now you're
I desk hosted a couple of times. I commentated a couple of times, but that was just
in Budapest. If
that was an emergency. That was an emergency.
It was good. It was good. It was in Budapest, V4, if I'm not mistaken, where you worked as a host.
And no, WSG in China.
Oh, okay. If I'm not mistaken, your first analyst job was actually in Slovenia. Am I right? And basically that was organized by our team, by Relog Media back then, Gaming RS, and it was, and I'm serious about this, afterwards awarded by the worst tournament in esports ever.
Well, that was the main tournament. I was actually there for the qualifiers, which was an interesting one. That was so crazy back then.
That was good enough.
So NIKO was standing in for King Win,
Yeah, King
right?
Win,
Simple was there with Flipside. And that was like unofficially, yeah, I was there with Devil Walk, and we were like kind of trying to get it done. So that's true. That a lot of people don't know that. That's unofficially my first desk.
And Hunter was there as visitor as well. He wasn't playing CS back then.
There's an interesting story about that later.
It was a huge crossroad for Hunter, but we're going to get into that later. NIKO, you're on the scene a little bit longer than Hunter, so you have the opportunity to talk first. But I remember it was 2009. It was 1.6.
I don't.
A long time. I know you don't. It was a long time ago, and it was a tournament in 1.6 back in Belgrade. And the guys from Novi Sad, they told us, everyone on the scene, that there's that one guy from Brčko, and he's amazing. He's just a kid. You were 11, 12 back then? Am I
no
right?
idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it was 2019, then I was 12, yeah.
12, right? My math isn't that good. Okay, my math isn't that good, so don't worry. And I remember you getting out of the car with your mom and dad. They were holding your hand, and they brought to you to your very first tournament. It wasn't your very first tournament, but let's call it a big tournament.
It was one of the first tournament outside of Bosnia, I think. I don't think I could even travel without them back then to any other countries, so they were just taking me to every single event to show my potential. So probably without them, I wouldn't be here this far. Maybe I would have made it still, but not as fast as I have done before. So they're my biggest support, and they're the biggest reason why I made it. But yeah, as you mentioned, that was one of my first events to travel outside of Bosnia, because before that I was just competing like in local events, because my parents were having this local PC club, however you're gonna call it. So that's how it all started.
PC game room or
something like that, internet cafe.
Internet cafe, right?
Yeah, so that's how it all started, and obviously my parents were always into the gaming because they were owners of that internet cafe. So they were very familiar, and my father always had hope into the gaming because he saw the whole picture all the time, and he was the one who was pushing me like all the time, and he's the reason why I made it, because when I actually got the chance to break through, I want to stop playing CS because I lost all the motivation. So yeah, thanks to him, it's the reason why I'm here.
When was actually, when did that happen?
Well, that happened when Mousesports invited me first time. I forgot the year. I think it was 2012, 13, something like that. And at that point I was like, I don't want to play CS anymore. I stopped playing CS before they invited me, and then they invited me. I was like, no, I decided to stop playing, and my father is like you have to play. Like I was pushing you all the time, driving you everywhere to play, and like now you just don't want to play. So like you have to accept that offer.
That's also fun enough when NIKO got really good at pool. When he didn't play Counter-Strike for 6 months, like he was just playing pool every day.
Yeah, it was just for fun. I didn't stop playing CS because of the pool, but yeah, that was I enjoyed playing pool at the time.
You wanted to become a professional snooker?
No, I never thought about it, but I really love that game. I enjoyed playing it. So, but CS is my only love.
Wow. So that was your starting point. That 2009 with the biggest tournament. The next big step, as you mentioned, signing for Mousesports, but it didn't started the way you planned. You were on the bench, right? And everyone were saying like, give NIKO a chance, he will kill everyone and everything. But how did that work out?
Yeah, as I said, I joined Mousesports 2012-13. I joined them without being able to speak any English. So that was also one of the reasons why I was doubting myself as well. Just like joining a team, you don't know anyone on the team, and you have to speak language that you don't really understand, and you speak the language. So it was a huge barrier for me, which I'm happy that I could, I don't know the word, but I'm happy that I could get over it. But that them benching me came as a surprise, because we just came back from an event that we have actually won. So just imagine like you go to a tournament, and then on the way back while you're driving, you're being told that you're benched, and with you being MVP of the tournament. So I was like...
It doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah.
But then I understood the reason behind it, even though I was not happy about it. But obviously they brought 3 new guys that had a major slot secured already. So that was the biggest reason why they replaced me as well. But that just gave me an extra motivation to prove myself even more. Even though everyone at that point already knew that I had the potential to be one of the best players. And then at the time, Kingwin...
You don't need those, man. You don't need those for one of the best players in the world. Everyone knows that.
Just trying to be polite. No, but, and that, when I got benched, at that time, Kingwin invited me to play this event in Slovenia. So that was a great time to prove myself again, because I didn't play competitive for maybe 4 months, I think. And then I got that chance to prove myself again. And I think that event really helped me to actually prove everyone that I'm a stable player. Because at the start, it was just like, maybe just a couple of events, you know, he performed good, it's nothing special. But then after I came back from the bench, that's when everyone saw that I'm the real deal. And then I just, ever since then, I kept on working on myself and improving, and yeah, just trying to become better and better by each day.
I remember it was an interesting situation. I remember like it was yesterday. It was train, 1v4, you clutched it, and after the map, you opened your phone on HLTV and all the threads on the right side, and you were like amazed. Like it was 8 out of 10 threads were about you and your clutch and how good you are, and it was all new to you. But how do you feel right now, people writing about you all the time and your plays?
Well, it's all the same as before, because obviously you grow as a person, you grow as a brand as well, and you have haters, you have people that support you, you know. So back then it was mostly just the support, you know, because you are no one, you are just growing up. But nowadays, you know, maybe I even get more hateful comments than the support because of the history or whatever happened before. But yeah, it's not exactly the same like it was before. I think the community before was much more like friendlier. There was no betting. There was no, you know. Now it's, I don't think I can explain.
Is it tougher?
I think it's tougher for everyone. I think there is way too many tournaments. There is too much pressure on the players, and then with the community going, because we have this thing called hltv.org, and that's the thread. That's the site that if you're a player, you should never open and watch the things that they're writing about you, because it's never a good sign. It can help you sometimes if you are being amazing, but if you are underperforming at some point, like they will just trash on you all the time, and that might impact on yourself and your performance. So, yeah. You
shouldn't open it, but do you open it?
I do open it because that's how I started, you know. Like, it's my life, you know, everything, all the games are happening there, everything is happening, like I have to stay in touch. Yeah, but I try to avoid. Now I got used to the reading as well, you know. It's been, I have a lot of experience with those things, so now I'm just reading them, but they're also fueling me up as well, you know, the hate and everything, so I don't take them as bad as before, I would say.
Hunter, the older brother.
Yes.
Hey.
Hello.
I don't know if people know, but at one point you basically had to choose between being a professional football player and a professional esport player. So do you think you made the right decision looking from this point?
Of course I made. I mean, thanks to NIKO, first of all, because he forced me a bit when he saw that I'm capable of doing big things after playing one local event with him with 0 hours, because someone from Serbia couldn't came in Bosnia to play this event, and NIKO invited me to play with him. And at the beginning, of course, it was tough because I didn't play the game CSGO ever. And at the beginning, I was not that good, but after in playoffs, I was at some points better than him. And he just told me, like, I will give you PC, I will do whatever, just start playing because you will be good in the future. I know it, and maybe one day we'll play together. And everything, it was after he joined Mouse Sports and before he wanted to stop CS, and when he started playing professionally again after this event, when he won with Kingwin Gaming Paradise, I was with him as well there, and after that everything started good for me and for him as well. So,
how did you actually start? So you're at the very beginning. NIKO tells you you should start playing. How do you start playing? What do you do? I mean, it's your first time, not your first time touching the game since you played 1.6, of course, but you're starting off with CSGO. How do you start with that? What do you do?
Well, first of all, like, I couldn't do anything without my parents like him. We didn't have that much money at this time, you know, and they just bought PC for me, and I was like playing let's say, whole summer I didn't go to vacation or anything. I was just playing CS, and I was going to the university at the same time. So I was in CS for 12 hours a day, almost, for 3-4 months. And then after Letni, EMI, they recognized that I can be good. And they invited me to play with them. And I showed that I can be really good, and they trusted me as well. And I'm really happy that I did big things with Balkan team, and especially on Major, what we did, we almost secured legend spot. So this is something that I will always remember, and yeah.
Why is this funny, guys? Come on. Why is this funny? It was
They
probably
remember
the
it,
biggest
they
thing
remember it. I'm
for a
happy that they
Balkan team
remember.
ever. Yeah.
It's funny because they beat us in one of the games.
Oh, well, tough luck. What to say? YNK, I want to dig a little bit deeper in the transition from an observer to an analyst. I don't think people actually realize how much work needs to be done. I mean, you're working on the biggest tournaments in the world, watched by millions. So how do you prepare? What do you have to do in order to be yourself on the screen?
I think the most important thing is to have confidence in what you're saying, right? And for me, that was at the beginning an issue a little bit, right? Because I felt what I'm saying about the game makes sense. I was confident in my knowledge about the game, but you know, who was I? Like I was just some random player that had mediocre success at best for a little while, and here I am supposed to talk about some of the guys who are, you know, played for a long time, some of the best players in the world. But it was really as soon as I got some positive comments from, you know, players like Fallen or Get Right or Neo, right, like some of the best players in the game, and the, you know, in-game leaders as well, like some of the most cerebral players, then I was like, okay, now I can work on some other things, right? And, you know, just because as a broadcaster, we're basically entertainers, right? And as an analyst, yes, it's very important that you know the game, but also how you present it, you know, how you just talk in general, how you deliver your points is also really important. So later on, that became the focus, and, you know, in general, preparation is a big part of it, but at some point, you know, early on, I was doing so many tournaments that I don't need to look what this team did before. I was there. So it's just, they're just going from tournament to tournament, and then you can remember some details that, you know, the viewers obviously don't know because no one watches every single game. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was confident to be a coach, because no one has watched more CS than me from like mid of 2015 until, you know, middle of 2018. There's no way.
Well, okay, but you don't prepare for tournaments right now because you watch it all the time, of course. But back then, how did the preparations look like?
Well, I mean, now I prepare as well because tournaments, you know, there's more high-profile tournaments. The production value, the broadcasts are a bit more serious, right? Like it's more detailed. So depending on the type of broadcast and, you know, also the level of the tournament, that's where preparation varies. But back in the day, it was, you know, I mean, it was much more chaotic. The segments, you know, you do analyze that segment, and, you know, there's all these graphics popping up now, and videos and interviews. And before we had a tournament where, you know, the four of us are just talking for 30 minutes without anything going up. So, you know, you need to come up with things to talk about. That's where you prepare a little bit, and you know some of the history between the teams. But it's also helpful, you know, the colleagues that you work with. It's very helpful, and it's very important who you work with, and, you know, have someone like Thorin next to you who somehow remembers every single thing about every single game that ever happened, right? It's way easier to go back and forth. He's more theory, history, I'm more detail in game, right? So all those things really, especially back then, mattered a lot.
NIKO, going back to you, you told Hunter he should start playing, and a couple of years later, we could see you guys playing at the same team. Was that your plan all along? Was that like a master plan or something?
I mean, the plan was obviously to play together, but my plan was always to bring him into my team because I was always the one who was ahead at the time in in team performance. So I was always working towards the thing that I bring him to my team. But then at some point, things changed, and I wasn't happy in my team, and actually they were doing better than us at that point, I think. So it made sense for me to just join him instead of. I didn't look at it like a crazy thing, like, okay, he has to join my team and that's it, you know. It was just the best option for us at that time to team up, and that's why I took that decision.
Yeah, you mentioned your parents, they had those internet cafes when you were kids. Is that the recipe? I mean, should that be an advice for everyone here? Like, open an internet cafe, you're gonna be NIKO and Hunter?
I think it definitely helps if you start like we did when you start playing games 6, 7 years old, maybe even younger, I don't even remember, right? That definitely helps. Yeah, so if you start playing CS when you're 5 years old, and we always had someone to learn from, you know, because you always have in like those internet cafes, you have like 2 teams competing against each other, and you always have, even back then we had a guy who is leading the team, you know, so we always had someone to learn from, and obviously when we passed them, that's when we moved on to join a Serbian team and something like that, so starting at an early age definitely helps.
I wanted to ask both of you. Let's start with you, with the very same moment. FaZe against Crazy on Berlin Major, and Crazy wins. Hunter wins against NIKO, and there's that famous picture where you guys are hugging, congratulating. I'm interested in your emotion at that moment. How did it feel?
I didn't feel sad when I lost, even though it's a major game and it was important game to build confidence throughout the tournament. But after we lost, I wasn't sad or anything because I know how much he worked for and the whole team, how much they worked for. I know that they deserved it. You know, they were a better team and they were just better performing at the time. And I don't know, I just felt happy for him, but not so sad because we lost. Maybe more disappointed, but not sad. I don't know how to explain it, but I was really happy for him that they won, and it sucks that they couldn't make it into the legend stage.
Hunter, you won against your cousin, your younger cousin who's on the scene longer than you. How did it feel?
Oh, it was a weird feeling for me, honestly, because when we qualified for Major, I knew that we'll play against each other, because everyone wanted it so bad, except 2 of us. We didn't want to play against each other as much as we could. And this game, it was like real hype for everyone, even my teammates in the team, they just wanted to win against FaZe. I was not that hyped. It was really weird because I was watching his games all the time. I was smashing keyboards, mouses when I watched sometimes FaZe playing before, you know. And it was really tough. And when we won against them, I was feeling happy and unhappy at the same point, you know. I didn't have any feelings, you know, because I won against him. I didn't want to do it, but I needed to do it, you know. So it was really weird feeling, but of course I was happy because, as he said, it was really important for us, for whole team, for me, and yeah, I worked a lot for that, and he knew that as well. I mean, this is something crazy story, nothing else to say, really.
It was a great run for a Balkan team back then at the Berlin Major, and you were stopped by probably one of the luckiest shot ever with a simple AWP on B side on Inferno through smoke, double kill. Do you think if that didn't happen, that you would even make, of course, to the legend stage, but maybe even further?
I think we could. At this point, we were really good. Honestly, we were a really good team. And we lost against Liquid first game. They were the best team in the world at this point. Then we won 2 games. And then we lost against Navi and Astralis 2-1. And both games we had like 1-0, and we were leading on Inferno both times this second map. And we just didn't make it because like they had the luck, but they had more experience than us. And this is something that we needed at this point, you know. We just gained experience there. And third map, we didn't have a chance against both teams. And we almost won 2-0. So I think we could have done really good this major if we just passed the group stage, because we played against 3 best teams in the world at this moment, at this period. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy. We did a really great result, but I was unhappy after this 3rd game because I knew that we could go further.
I know that I speak for a lot of people there from the Balkans. It still hurts talking and thinking even about that. It could have been even better. YNK, it's your turn. You played with these guys. Give us something spicy. Come on. Give us something spicy, something that happened on tournaments, something interesting. It doesn't have to involve them necessarily, but give us something that happens on a tournament that we can't see on the screen, that's not visible.
From when we play together?
What's happening? Maybe even right now when you're working. If you have some interesting stuff that's happening behind the cameras, I don't know. I didn't prepare for you for this, but
well,
I know you'll manage.
I mean, I think you know, one of the things that you see very often is, especially like Blast, the last tournament, the studio environment, and players, you know, trash talk each other, and yeah, but players are actually all like pretty close in behind the scenes, right? I think they all understand it's a competition, right? Obviously, they're all playing against each other, but at the end of the day, they're all in it together. So I think there's a lot of like good relationships there. I think something that, you know, may be interesting, I guess, from when we actually played our first international tournament was with all the like screaming and yelling and shouting in Vienna. It was a tournament where it was like a cube, right? So 4 sides, 1 team on each side. So we were basically, you know, like this, like one corner. So I'm sitting on the far left corner and the opposing player is like right there on the far right corner. And that team was Lemon Dogs. They were ranked 3rd in the world at the time, but they were like kids. They were, you know, and it was like me, Kasad were there. NIKO was playing, Emi was playing in that team as well, and Kingor, God bless his soul. And so we were playing, and Juric was there behind us.
Yeah, he was cheering.
With
yeah.
Misha, they came over, right? So we were playing, and we were like, you know, they're like super good at the game, right? And all that. They were like 2nd at DreamHack, Winter, or something like that. But we were like, listen, they're going to choke. We just need to, you know, scream our lungs out.
Was that the plan from the very beginning?
Yeah, it was. The plan was to intimidate them, you know, like, because they just looked like they never like, because, you know, Scandinavian people are timid, they're more like, you know, calm. We are just all about shouting, like Lions back in the day, you know it, like you played the amount of bad words you hear over a course of a game, like there's not enough words in the vocabulary to describe it, right? That we beat them like 16-8, we beat them so easily. There's still a clip on YouTube, like of the winning moment. You can hear all the guys screaming in the back. You can hear Hooch, who's on the other side of the hall, just screaming Harosh, because he doesn't know, he just hears some people screaming and he just like, yeah, let's go. So that was really cool. That was, you know, for a lot of us, I mean, was, you know, you have Kasad, he was coaching Renegades 100 Thieves for a long time, like, you know, great coach, Emi, player/coach, don't need to talk about this guy. You know, I did a bunch of stuff, and it's all started with that, because a good run there allowed us to get invited into a good practice group on Facebook, and got some invites for tournaments where we could, you know, keep proving ourselves. And, you know, that's why eventually he got an offer from Mouse Sports, and some of the other guys as well went their own separate ways. But yeah, that was, you know, a fun memory that I think I'll cherish forever.
That was in 2013,
13, yeah.
Right? So did you know at that moment that it's all going to work out for you guys, for Emi, for NIKO, for Kasad, yourself?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. We were just happy that, you know, we were putting in a lot of work then. I mean, we paid out of our own pocket to get to that tournament. They didn't want to give us a slot. You know, we took a train from Belgrade to Budapest. Like, that doesn't sound like a big deal for people who don't know how trains in Serbia work. That's like 10 hours. Slept at the railroad station in Budapest.
And it's like 400 kilometers.
Yeah,
10 hours.
Change the train to go to Vienna. You know, we're staying at this hotel, and, you know, we start playing, we start preparing really well, and, you know, we're beating these guys, you know, like it's actually going great. So we were just happy that the work paid off, and, you know, that we have reached like the next step, and it was okay. Now we have to step up to that challenge and keep going. And yeah, I didn't have, I mean, I still sometimes, okay, not anymore, but up until a couple of years ago, I was still like, well, this has 2 or 3 years for sure. After that, I don't know, but I think, you know, by now it's clear to everyone that not just esports, but Counter-Strike specifically is here to stay for a long time.
I love watching that clip from time to time, every 6 months, just to remember how Serbians play Counter-Strike and how much we yell, and that intimidation was a great plan back then. Kudos for that. NIKO, you know, people who don't follow esports, they still tend to think, you know, what are these guys are doing? They're just, you know, shooting, playing video games, doing basically nothing, and living a pretty good life, I would say. But let's try and explain how a work day actually looks like for you guys.
Well, right now, I play much less CS than I did at the start. Like, when I was a kid, I play like, I don't know, 12 hours a day, 13, 14, just eating and playing. I was fat, you know, and that's the reason why I improved really fast as well. I was just playing and eating, you know, and with the time you obviously realize it's not the healthiest way to keep up yourself. So obviously I started taking care of my body as well, and, you know, just living the healthier life, but still playing a lot of CS as well. Right now, I think let's say that on daily basis we play 7 hours of practice, at least 7-8 hours like team practice, and then obviously on the side you always have to work on yourself like 1 to 2 hours. It all depends on what kind of routines you have and how much you actually need in the certain point, because sometimes you just feel confidence, and you don't really need to play too much CS on the side, but daily it's just like we always play 6-7 hours a day, 4 scrims, and then obviously there's a lot of theory which I can't really say what exactly we are doing if you don't follow the CS and if you're not into CS, but there's much, like talking in CS is probably way more efficient than actually playing as a team, because that's when you start understanding each other, adding tactics, rotations and all those kind of things. So it's not just sitting behind PC and playing, it's much more than that. There's also psychologies that you have to work with if the team is in a bad state, game performance coaches as well. There's many things that are getting very serious right now, which we didn't have before, and esports is really taking I feel like it's improving by each year. People always try to go in a way the sport is going, So it's silly when I hear that people consider us just like gamers, nerds, just sitting behind PC and playing, which is not true at all. And it's very hard to explain how it actually looks like when you're a professional player. Not just for CS, but I think in general for every game, I think it's the same.
How hard is actually to travel from tournament to tournament, and you're changing countries, you're changing continents, you're flying all over the world, and you're supposed to sit down and give your best shot, be the best version of yourself every single day. Because if you don't do it, you're going to lose, and you're going to feel the pressure again, you're going to feel the banter from the fans. But how hard it is actually to keep up with all the pressure and the schedule.
For me, like I'm young, but even when I was younger, I never had problems with traveling, I never had issues with like going from one country directly to another and just playing like event after event, I always had a very high motivation, and I always wanted to beat the teams, I always wanted to be the best, and I never got tired of competing. Maybe you get tired of playing, too much CS, but when you actually compete, when you're at the tournament and when you are seeing the teams and you're seeing the crowd, when you're in the arena, that's something that we live for, and that's something I don't think I will ever get tired of. Just this adrenaline when you compete, and like the feel that you just have of competing is something that I don't think if you actually feel it, you don't get tired of it at all. And no matter the travels and anything, like when you're in that state of mind, like you don't care how much you traveled or how much you're tired or how much you are tired. You just like want to beat these guys, and I think that's all that matters.
I'm gonna hop on this train that you just mentioned, the audience and stuff. Hunter, you became really famous for one move. Do you know what I'm talking about? The relationship that you had with a crowd?
Against an IP, yeah.
Yeah, the one with an ear.
I thought he was going to say Hunter Boost.
What happened there? I mean, we talked internally, with the people that knows you, and they say that doesn't look like you. You wouldn't expect something like that from you. But what happened there?
But that's true, because I didn't play in front of the crowd ever in my life. I mean, I played in front of 1K people maximum. And against an IP, major, first time in front of the bigger crowd. I'm playing with my brother on major in front of the people, It was like, everything was just a dream. And when we were going out on the stage, fans from NIP were looking at me and NIKO and doing this, And I was hyped, and me and NIKO were telling to each other, let's just start the game and let's smash them, because I knew at this point we'll smash them. And we just started playing, and it was really good at the beginning. And this famous Inferno for all of us. And we were leading 13-2 or something, 12-3. And they did some crazy comeback, and it was like 15-11. And I knew if they take this round, we are next round NIKO, it will be really tough, And then, I clutched this 1v3. Even when I killed the first guy, NIKO was like this already, he knew that I will clutch.
So you didn't want to copy him?
Yeah. And then I just look at their fans, and they were all doing this to me, and I got crazy a bit. It was too much, but really no bad blood after everything. But yeah, I got popular a bit with this thing.
How did you come up with it? Was it from football? if I recall correctly, football players tend to do this,
Yeah,
right?
but I didn't think about that honestly before the game or at this moment. I mean, it just happened, you know.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Right. NIKO mentioned there are a lot of people on the team. I mean, when we watch Counter-Strike, when we watch G2 playing, we see 5 or 6 people, including the coach. But how many other professions are included in a team that has to work properly?
But depending on their team and what NIKO said, how team is feeling at the moment, you know, back then in Crazy, before the major, we had the psychologist who was working with us because we were not good mentally, I would say, all of us. So we were working with him for, let's say, 1 month before the major, and it paid off overall. And of course, you have a manager who is here for you for whatever you need on the events. Really important guy at the end, and that's pretty much it, I think, at least for now. But I think like CS, as NIKO said, is improving from year to year. And it's really growing up too fast and too quick. And in next few years, I don't know like what can happen and how many people you have in the team. But yeah, I think standing idea or having the 6th player is not bad, because like you cannot every day feel really good as a player. It's impossible, really impossible. And as you said, when you travel a lot, when you go from the event to event, it's really tough to stay all the time focused. But online events, it's a lot easier than from home, let's say. But having 6th player is not a bad idea for me, but you cannot find a guy who will sit as a 6th and just do nothing.
This is an interesting topic. Having 6 players on a team, this just popped up. YNK, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I love it. Well, the main reason is because, you know, I played basketball for a while, and, you know, if you don't listen to your coach and you don't do what you're told, you're going to sit on the bench. You're not going to play, and you don't want to sit on the bench. It's no fun, right? There's only fun in playing. So I think it's an instrument for a coach just to have a way to, you know, punish players when they're not doing well, or not when they're not doing well, they're doing their job properly. They're not working as they're intended to, right? I never had a problem with my players underperforming, you know, missing kills or something like that. Like, it happens, you know, everyone has a bad day, can't punish people for that. But if you have clear flaws in your game and you're underperforming at certain things time and time again, and you're not doing anything about it because you're still on the team, you're still playing. Like, I can bench you and get another player, right? But that can't happen overnight. You know, that's a process, like obviously, you know, contracts, whatnot, buyouts. So I think as an instrument of just also being able to keep players in check, I think it's good. The problem is, as Hunter said, you know, it's just 5 players are playing in the end. You can't swap players in and out. And with the Valve's decision about, you know, subs and whatnot, it's just more difficult to justify it really as an org to keep that player on the roster. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to become a thing really until they change it up, but yeah.
I'm not sure it's going to be.
I have one thing to say. I think it's one good thing. I don't think 6th player can work in the CS right now because you can't find a consistency. You cannot practice with 6 guys. You know, in football and some sports, like, you know, you have 20 players and you can practice all together and people can understand each other. But in CS, it's different. You can only practice with 5 guys. 6 guy can listen, but if he's not playing, he can miss the timing, all of those kind of things. But one good thing that happened to CS, I think, is this academy league that is like most organizations are having, and I think it's better to pick up a player because if you have an academy team, you have like 5 roles that you can replace with any of the players on the junior team, right? So I think going into that direction, I think it's better than to having a 6th player, at least as of right now, how the practice is going. I think this is more efficient, and I think we could see it like with Navi, for example, you know, they got beat. I think even this Mao's next lineup, for example, they also have a lot of potential players in that team. Some other orgs as well, like Ninjas in Pyjamas, Fnatic, you know, they all have backup players, and they can all replace a certain role in the team, you know. I think that's a good.
It's great. Instead of 1 guy, you can bench 3.
That as well.
It could happen, but I don't know if it's going in the right direction right now, since Valve decided to actually exclude even coaches, and they're not allowed to interact with players during the match. What do you think about that? I mean, it sounds crazy. There was an image on a major where Nikola Ninic, Legia, I think Tapson, at one point, he clutched something and he turned to his coach and wanted to give him a fist bump. And Legia was at one point like, no, I'm not allowed. What do you think about that, guys? I mean, it's harsh.
I think it's a very dumb rule and it doesn't make any sense. I don't care about fist bumps and everything, but if I'm in the coach position and I'm behind the guys in front of 10,000 people playing and my team wins some crazy round and you can celebrate. Like, I don't care about fist bumps and like some interaction like during the game, but if you can't celebrate the rounds that you're winning, like you as a coach, like how can you find a motivation to do your job, you know, to take timeouts, to be into the game? I think it's just unreasonable what they did. I
think it's down to the tournament organizer to have good admins and referees who understand what's going over the top, right? Because, I mean, Valve introduced that rule because there was coaches who cheated, you know, and for them the easy thing is to do, just take them out of the equation, you can't communicate at all, right? Which sucks for everyone else who was just doing their job. But I think, you know, you have a normal referee and he just sees the guys screaming, like shouting, you know, being loud, saying, nice, let's go, guys. He's not going to say anything, right? Like, but they were really strict at the major in particular because it was just after whatever, and also because, I mean, they didn't have as good enough of a crew as some of the regular, you know, tournaments that we see have. I think you saw at tournaments after that, there weren't really issues like that where coach is just sitting there, you know, can't even move at all. Like Hooch couldn't even, he was scared to drink a little bit of water. Maybe they would think that's a sign as well.
Do you think, guys, you got to that point where you became role models for kids? I mean, they look up to Ronaldo, I don't know, Messi, and so on. But right now, they look up to you. And do you feel that you have the obligation to talk properly, use your social media with care, you know, responsible, because everything you say can affect other people, especially kids who don't know everything in this world yet. How do you manage to cope with such things? Hunter, come on, let's hear you.
We can do both together. I mean, we need to take care about everything because for the kids that are upcoming, like young kids, like 8, 9, 10 years old, we need to be an example for them. Overall, not only playing-wise, but overall outside of the game. They are following us on Instagram, Twitter, and all other socials. So we need to be an example for those people. And of course, we need to take care about a lot of things, not only about playing and being the best. I mean, we need to be the best in all aspects, in my opinion.
NIKO, you're the one that's recording stories all the time when you win or lose after the match. How hard it is to record a story, and I suppose that's basically part of your job, and you not have to do it, but you feel the obligation towards the fans to say a couple of words. How hard it is to do it after a loss? It's not easy, I guess.
No, it's not easy, but it's my job, and I want to also feel connected with my fans as well, for people who are supporting me. I just want to express my feelings, or I try to express my feelings most of the time. At some point I cannot, even though I don't know what to say, you know, I don't want to keep repeating myself either, so sometimes I just write like, yeah, we lost, you know, that's it. But sometimes I make a story where I say the reasons why we lost or how we felt after we lost and some things. But as Hunter said, like, it's very important to show a good face always, not just when you're playing, but how you act, like when you win the round, when you lose the round, how do you deal with your personal life? Like, you need to look professional, work on yourself physically, you know, you need to be active, always do something. But playing CS, try to eat a bit healthier as well. I think many things, like everything can impact if people are really following, you know. So every time I post that I'm working out after a game, like people are telling me like, how can you do it? Like, go play, you know, or whatever. I cannot play all the time, you know. I cannot just lose and go practice immediately. I need to clear my head, you know, think about what happened, refresh my mind, and then I can go back to playing. Sometimes I don't work out to lose weight or gain muscle. I just want to work out to just clear my mind, basically, you know, or take a walk, or have a beer, whatever it is, you know. Something has to make me feel better after the loss, you know. And that's something people don't understand. And they're just like, every time you lose, like go back to playing. Like, why you're taking vacation? Why this? Why that? Like, I'm not a robot, you know. I have to, and that's why I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to have a balance. I can't always be a nice guy to them and, you know, say always nice things and just keep expressing myself.
I said once on Ian Winter, you're not a man, you're a machine, but I was talking inside of the game, obviously not outside. Yeah, YNK.
but I think this is a good question. I think it's an important topic as well. I think players are not required to be a role model or not. Like, you don't need to be super active on social media outside of what your team requirements are, or, you know, like whatever you feel like posting. But if you are like that, then I feel like, you know, there's so much toxicity and negativity and straight up hate, not just in our scene, but like on the internet nowadays. And, you know, I think if you're going to be active, then you should be a voice of good, right? And try to have a positive impact and kind of spread positivity around, right? Like, I'm not perfect, you know, I'm not all like that 100% of the time, you know, but, you know, you consciously try to, like, you know, you realize that when, you know, the messages that these players get, you know, after games and after, you know, the death threats, the, you know, horrible things written to them, about their families,
Wait,
about
death threats?
yeah, I mean, it's all kind of ridiculous stuff, right? And of course, it's easy for you to say, like, yeah, that's just some random kid from the other side of the world who lost like $5 betting, right? And yeah, but who knows? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, right? Like, depends how you're going to be about it. And even the people with the thickest of skin, and I think, you know, not to us from Balkans, we have pretty thick skin, especially when it comes to people, you know, saying stuff to you online. But I think, like, eventually it can catch up to someone, right? And we've seen it catch up to people and horrible things happening. So, like, if you can, you know, help things be better a little bit and you want to be vocal, I think that's what you should try and do. Again, you're not required to do it. No one's asking you. You are just a CS player. You're not there to change the world. That's not your job. But, you know, if you are really popular, if you're really famous, what you say and how you behave and how you handle yourself does have an impact, because there's like young adults out there just watching you, and you are their idol, right? And they will see that, and I think that's how they're supposed to behave as well.
Hunter, did you have any interesting stories with fans? Hey, either mic is okay. Interesting stories with fans. It could be good or bad. That doesn't matter. But I think you had a couple of interesting stories.
Well, not really that bad. I had a lot of good things, but against NIP this game, I couldn't go out from hotel, let's say, for 2 hours because I didn't want maybe some guy will just come to me, you know, and do some crazy thing. But people are writing, as YNK said, like after we lose, people are writing a lot of bad things on Instagram, especially even to our families. So it's not an easy topic.
Does it affect you?
Well, not really. Sometimes, of course, when I see a really bad message, but I'm not looking at it too much. Obviously, if my wife or my mother tells me like they receive some messages, obviously I feel bad for them. But overall, for me, I mean, and you need to accept that. You know that you always have haters and people more fans than haters. But haters are always here and they will always hate, even though whatever you do. And hey, you need to accept it and just go through it like it's nothing, and that's it.
A little birdie told me you have a fresh story from yesterday with a fan. Don't remember, on a pool. He was following Valorant.
Yeah.
Come on, I think everyone needs to hear the story. Come on.
Yeah, yesterday I was next to the pool and a guy from Brazil came and he asked me he asked me, who are you, what are you playing, what game, because he's playing games as well. And I said CSGO, and he said, yeah, I'm playing Valorant, nice to meet you. Do you know G2 team? They are the best European team. And I was like, no, I don't know.
I have no idea.
So yeah, it's a crazy story.
He didn't believe you that you were playing for G2. You had to show him on your phone, right?
Yeah, I needed to show him on my phone, on Instagram and Twitter that I'm a really G2 player, and he was amazed, and he took even picture with me, sending to his friends from Brazil.
Yeah, when you actually proved it.
Yeah, I needed to prove it, yeah. So yeah.
He couldn't believe that he was actually talking to you.
Yeah,
wow,
exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any interesting stories with fans like this? Asking for pictures and stuff? I know you do, come on. I know why I'm asking this.
There's plenty of them, of course. I can't remember something like specifically, but
I'm suggesting
what are you suggesting?
Story with parents approaching to you. No, you can't remember?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna blame it on Juric if you can't remember.
No. Okay, about that one, I remember. This thing, like, I can't recall everything.
Yeah.
Of course, I remember most of them, but yeah, that's one time in Belgrade. I was just having lunch with friends, and like a mother of 2 kids, or 1 kid, I'm not even sure, like she was 50, 60 years old, just came up to me and like, are you NIKO? I was like, yeah, I am. Like my son is like big fan of you. Like he really is looking up to you. Like you are his idol. Like, can I take a picture like with you for him. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So it's very cool to see that even the older, the parents basically, what I want to say, that they're also like watching what their kids are supporting and looking up to. I think it's also important. So it was a nice touch.
Let's get back to mental health for a moment longer. You mentioned you have a psychologist in your team. How does that work? How does the psychologist help you? What do you talk about? I mean, if you don't want to talk about this subject, of course, it's a private thing, of course. But I feel like that people need to know what the psychologist actually does in a team and how much he helps.
But this guy who works with us, he's sports psychologist. He's working in football with some players, popular players. And what he was trying to do with us is like to build better team chemistry. So we were working as a team all the time. We were honest to each other. We were writing on the paper things, and we were honest to each other. And this is like really important in this game that we play, to be honest with each other and tell everything you need to tell your teammate, and not hide and talk with some other teammate behind his back. This is really bad overall. And this is something that they are trying to do, psychologists in CSGO, first of all. And obviously, if you have some individual thing that you need and that you need to talk to him, if he recognizes that you need to do something with him, because he was watching our practices all the time, he was behind us, and he was seeing our reactions after we die or after we kill people, after we do something amazing, so we don't lose too much energy, because if you play best of three, it's a long game and you need to stay calm, chill, not always scream. And if you want to go till the end, in quarterfinals you can do and you can feel really good. Semifinals you can feel really good, but in finals you can lose your energy because you play 3 days in a row and you need to take care of it as well. You cannot just do everything in one game. You need to think about everything, honestly. And he's the guy that was helping us doing that overall, and he did good, I think.
YNK, losing too much energy and Belcom players, name a more iconic duo. Do you think that's a good or a bad thing, celebrating too much after winning a round? Or, it's not good, definitely, to lose faith after losing a round.
No, I like it when players celebrate. I would always love to have players on the team who show heart and who show emotion, because it shows you that they also care, right, and that their hearts in it. But I agree with Hunter 100%. You can't overdo it, really, right? For example, someone like Cadian immediately comes to your mind. It's like he's just nuts. It's like the Exorcist. Every time they win a round, it's like his eyes are coming out of his head, right? For me, like especially as an in-game leader, like you spend 5 seconds on doing that, and you need to and you're not spending that time on thinking what just happened, what's the next call for the next round. I need to tell you, you have to take a timeout. That happens often, even if it's not the in-game leader, like a big round, you just take a timeout to kind of compose yourself, because the next round is also important. But I think you have to be careful with it. You have to be smart with it, basically, like Hunter said, right? I like it, and energy is super important for a team to win a game. Because when you have good energy is when the communication is much better. Players are talking more. When players are talking more, that tells you they're trying to do more things on the map. They're asking for more things from their teammates, and that's when you play your best CS. When the energy is lower, communication goes down, you're more static on the map, and today's CS, we're talking about, the tier 1 CS, right? And in today's CS, you're just not going to win against the very best teams. Playing like that is just super difficult.
What do you actually do to keep the energy level high? How do you cope with that? What do you do? Do you have something special to eat, to drink, or, I don't know, some special relationship with your brother? I'm going to go with brother. I know your relationship, and you're more brothers than cousins. But, technically you're cousins, but you know what? What do you do?
I never had issues with energy, with having too much energy before pandemic started, for example. Because as I said, before, when we had the events on LAN all the time and traveling to countries all the time, playing in front of the crowd in big arenas, playing with your teammates, I never had issues with energy. I always had the energy. Once I sit down, my mind changes, and that's it. It's just you just play and you want to win. And
you don't get tired?
No, not really. Maybe you feel exhausted after the game, but when you're playing, as I said, you put all the emotions aside, but you just want to win and celebrate. You know, I think that's how I am, and that changed a little bit during pandemic. You know, it was very hard to find the motivation. It was very hard to find energy to celebrate every round. You know, so you're just playing, and you know you're trying to win, but you are not pushing yourself to another level. So going back to LAN again and to LAN environment helped us again to reach this performance because of the energy, you know, which we didn't have during online.
You also have different types of players, or just culturally and mentally different personalities. Like NIKO is like that. You would never see him have low energy in a game or be tired, or like you see him like a bit awkward. Like Rain is like that as well. Always same level. Like whether you're winning or losing, you had a great round, right? Like Fallen is similar, but then you have players who feed off of their emotion more. Like someone like Cold Zero, for example, when he's like feeling great, when he's in the zone, that's when he's like at his best, his peak level, and his peak level is super high, right? But if he's, you know, feeling a little bit slow, like, you know, for whatever reason, didn't sleep too well or something along those lines, then you can see his performance change, like he's a different player at that point. So that's one of your jobs as a coach or as a mental coach or performance coach, whatever you are. Your job is to get your players to be at that good level and to have just a good atmosphere in the team where people like have fun with each other and enjoy playing with each other, right? Like, and that's also some of the roles in your team is why do people always say about Jax, like Jax is such an amazing teammate, he's great, why does Hunter play better with Jax? Not just on the server. Jax is one of the funniest guys I've been around, man. That guy is just so fun to be around, he's so funny, he's so great, he's always positive. Like you can't be tilt or mad next to that guy. You know, just the way he is as a human being really like helps the team as a whole, and you can't underestimate that when you're building a team, right? Because it's such a high stress environment competing. There's so many tournaments, so much practice. Sometimes you don't even have time to practice, right? And it's easy to get, you know, NIKO is unique. There's a lot of players who get tired of traveling after like 2 tournaments in a row. Like they're just like, I want to go home. I want to see this person, that person. That's fine, you know, that's also, it makes a lot of sense. But to be able to go through that stretch and still be hyped about playing and, you know, not about playing. What NIKO says about the arenas, you could get any player who's going to be really, really good or like play his best in front of 10,000 people because it's amazing to play in front of 10,000 people. But being in a studio, playing in front of nobody, right, when there's no crowd, no nothing, or even worse, practicing, you know, in a room, that's where you get the motivation from to do that, because that's what gets you in the arena, and you know, then you can have all the fun.
So what do we have here? Like skill, energy, couple of more stuff that we said. But Hunter, what does a superstar need to have in order to become the superstar?
Well, you need to think about a lot of things, honestly. First of all, like you need to play a lot. You need to watch the game, watch other teams, what they do, prepare yourself for the next opponent that is in front of you. I mean, you need to think about a lot of things, but you shouldn't, like, I mean, overthink, because at the end, the most important is that you are feeling comfortable as a player, and when you sit to play, that you do your things and you feel comfortable doing them. To not overwatch the opponent doing things that you are not used to do because they do something else. So you need to really be smart, and you need to be in your comfort zone, because CSGO, for me, the most important thing is confidence. First thing that you need to have is confidence. If you do not have confidence, it's really tough, because, I mean, it's really tough to do things that you were doing when you have confidence. You will always doubt yourself, do I do this move, do I not do this move, you know, because if you are, like, in between, you don't have too much time to think. If you're in between and you don't do, and you want to do, this is really bad. You lose your focus, and then if you die, for example, after that, and you just say to yourself, why didn't I do it? It's just like, you need to think about that, and the confidence is really something that is really hard to build, because you cannot just be confident being good yourself. You need to have good teammates around you, and you need to trust them. And this is something that is really important, and I'm happy that I have this guy next to me.
I know that he's happy too, yeah, as well. You just said it, you need to be a good teammate. This is a team game, this is a team competition. What does one needs to have to be a good teammate? What are those aspects of a person?
But there is a lot, honestly. Inside, outside of the game, it's like, it's important, like, as much you are good inside the game, you need to be good outside of the game as well with your teammates. And if you do something bad, and if you have your teammate that is happy and trying to help you forget what you did, last round, instead of just crying or I don't know, do some weird moves, some weird faces that I don't like. This is something that is putting you down and all your team as well. So this is something that you shouldn't do if you play this game. Don't laugh.
With Juric, he was toxic. Is that what you want to say?
Juric was toxic, yeah?
He was toxic? Yeah, okay.
No, I mean, a lot of things are important to be a good teammate, like in all other sports, not only CSGO, I mean. So you need to think about a lot of things.
There you go, guys. First-hand advice, and try to use it. I'm about to ask NIKO a particular question. I don't know if he wants to talk about it. We'll see. Who knows? But before that, I just wanted to inform you that you guys in the audience will be able to ask a question if you have. I'm just kindly asking you not to ask those guys anything about roster changes or anything similar, just to try and keep with the themes that we had, or something that's connected with life in esports and professionalism in general. So think about your questions. We're going to get there in a couple of minutes. Before that, I just wanted to ask if anyone knows which map was played between G2 and Navi when NIKO missed his deagle shots. Yeah, you raised your hand. Nuke. There you go. You were the quickest, and therefore we have a prize for you.
You need to ask the round as well.
Sorry.
You need to ask the round as well.
As well, yeah. Here you go. And yeah, here you go. That's a prize for you. Thank you. Well, it was a nice surprise, and we're going to have a couple of more jerseys ready for you guys later on when you try and compete against these guys. It's not going to be an easy task. Okay, NIKO. No, Hunter first. No. I want to hear Hunter first. Yeah. Okay. So, NIKO's lurking. He's coming from behind. He's climbing up the ladder. You know, you could probably see that he was there. And, okay, walk me through it. I don't know. The emotions and everything.
It was really tough. I was alive, and we were 2v2, and we started talking Serbian, and every time we we win the round when we are 2v2. Like almost every time.
What did he say? What did he say when he was coming from?
You want me to say in English or in Serbian?
No, in Serbian. It's fine.
Well, I will say in English because people understand.
Okay.
Well, he just say play time. I will try to go from behind, just hide, and I mean that's it. Nothing else. And he was just focused. I was trying to buy a time, and then I was in front of hut in lobby, and I just heard with Eagle, and I don't know what is happening. He is not talking.
Shows up on the top.
Yeah, nothing is happening there in the top right corner.
When he's shooting with Eagle, you just need to hear one bullet usually, and that's it. When I heard second bullet, I knew something is wrong, and nothing. He just died. He didn't say anything. He was really tilted. And
he didn't even give you an info where the players are.
I think he did, but it was really quiet. And nothing, I just died after him, and when I saw his face after that, I wanted to give him fist bump because we move next round, it's 15-13 or whatever, and I saw his face, and I knew at this point it was really bad, but after the game I just saw it, not this night, tomorrow, day after, he told me, don't see it, don't watch it, you will feel even worse. So, and he said after this game we lost, he said if it was third map and we had the match point and I missed that, I would have killed myself, So I knew it was really bad, and I mean, you need to accept this thing. It will happen. I mean, not the same thing, but it happened to all players, and it will happen in the future. So yeah.
Okay, let's hear from the man himself. Step by step, please. What the hell happened there?
Well, the first thing I knew, honestly, even when I was doing this lurk, I knew that the Eagle was not the best weapon to have. I knew it's very hard shot to hit from behind.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just have to ask. You're playing, and at that moment you're thinking that the deagle is not the best weapon. Seriously.
Yeah.
That goes through your head.
Yeah, I know. I knew that I had to be...
You're thinking like, ooh, if I had an AK right now, that would be better.
The first thing that came to my mind was the crowd, because usually when someone is doing such a play, the crowd is going crazy, and it usually gives away your position. So going up the ladder, I was 100% sure the crowd will just give it away. And then the next thing, when I got up the ladder, I was surprised that I saw Simple on top hat, which is very unfamiliar position in clutch situations. Like no one is there, especially if you're city side. Like you are not top hat, you know. So he caught me off guard, seeing him top hat, and I mean, then I obviously
The rest is history.
I even took my time for the first shot to aim at his head, but I slightly missed. If probably I have this situation maybe next 10 times, I'll probably hit 8. I'll still miss 2, you know. It just sucks that it happened in that exact moment. But the shot was not easy. It was very important in a very important situation, you know, and that's why everyone went crazy about it. And obviously, it sucks. It's, as I said, as he said, like if this was a match point to win the tournament, I think it would have been much worse for myself. But I mean, it's still really bad, and I know that it's not the reason why we lost the map, but we could have won the map because of that shot, you know. So it happens.
Too bad you didn't have Rocha next to you to put his hand on yours and to help you, like
Exactly.
like in a
I didn't
G2
have that
video,
advice.
right? You know, when we play Face It, like randomly, it doesn't matter. And when you don't clutch something and you lose the round or on a tournament, you know, I even couldn't sleep. I thought about it, and it really actually didn't make any difference. You know, who cares? Nobody actually watches that. I can't even start imagining how hard it was for you that very night. What do you actually do? I mean, what did you do? I don't know. I'm interested in how to cope with that kind of pressure and that kind of thoughts, you know, going through your head. Like I mean, everyone knows you're one of the best players in the world with Deagle, and it happens to you at that exact moment. I mean, it's not easy to cope with that.
It's not easy. I mean, I'm a very experienced player, I would say, and I think I got over it pretty fast. I mean, after any loss, even if that situation didn't happen and we would have lost that final to a Navi in that fashion, I would feel as disappointed, you know. It's a team game and you win and you lose as a team, and I was just disappointed because we deserved to play this third map. Like we deserved to play third map, and that was Mirage, the map that we didn't lose the whole tournament. I think we had a good shot of winning it against them. But after the match, like the whole night, obviously we were sad and disappointed. But at some point, like we realized that we did a good run, you know, overall. Like we didn't lose a single game throughout the whole event, and Navi was the best team in the world. Also, there were some things happening within the team, so it was something special for some players in the team as well. Many things were going through my head, but obviously after the match that you lose and the final, you're always gonna feel disappointed and sad.
Damn simple. Even crouching, the best in the world. I just can't imagine. Okay, but you obviously managed to rebound really quickly, since you had an amazing statistics and numbers on the tournaments after the major. Would you say that you're in the best form of your life right now? And do you think that we could see even better NIKO in the years that are coming?
I think there's always room for improvement, but yeah, this season was probably the highest peak in my career when it comes to numbers. I still think that I can do much better. I still see mistakes that I'm doing, and consistency as well. And it's also very important, like you as a team. The only reason why I was this good is because also the team, I felt really good in the team, and we were making those deep runs. Like we never got swept out, you know, we never got destroyed by a team. So we always had those close games, and once we are having those close games, I can show my potential. But if you have a game like we did, for example, against Navi Mirage, the last map of the last tournament, where I can't find an impact, you know, that's something that I'm still missing. I need to just try to find a way how to perform, even though when I'm not in position to perform, you know. And also many clash situations I can work on. There's many things that you can work on inside and outside of the game, even though if you're at your highest peak. Even Simple right now can improve many things, you know, if you ask him. So just need to find those rooms for improvement.
Deagle Miss, was that the worst professional moment of your life? The hardest? Toughest? No?
No.
YNK is saying no, why not?
I
Boston
think
Major.
Boston Major for
Boston,
sure.
even Boston Major
Yeah,
was more
Boston
difficult.
Major, it was for sure, because it was a third map, we were having a lead. I don't know, it was just, I felt like that major, we threw it away, but this one, you know, we didn't, it was not a match point, you know, so, and yeah, Boston for sure was the hardest one to recover from.
Okay, I think it's time if anyone from the audience has any questions. Okay, we need a mic. So if you please can raise your hand. Okay, we're gonna start, we can start from there. We're just gonna have a couple of questions.
Hi, NIKO, Hunter, Yanko. My name is Rohan, and I study in NTU in Singapore, and I'm a year 3 student. My question is for NIKO. In a lot of cultures around the world, including mine, esports or gaming is not as big as it is maybe in the Balkans. So I wanted to ask you if you have any advice of how do you like convince or talk to people who are your friends and family that this is not just something recreational, but it can be something competitive as well that you can do so well and as you guys have.
That's a great question, by the way. You have a future in hosting stuff, so nice.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I understand you as well, because we also came from countries that esports was not very common. Even nowadays, like before Relog, like esports in our countries was probably on the same level like here, you know. If someone is asking you from parents, like, what are you doing? You're playing games, like go to school, go play football, you know, it's better, it's smarter, like it's still the same in our countries as of right now. And if you ask me how to change it, I don't have the answer, but if you have opportunity to show your potential somewhere else, you should go for it, because esports is definitely it's been proven that it's a very serious thing, you know. It's I think if the parents and the guys, if they want to see a bigger picture, they will. But if they are just, there's many persons that are not into PC, you know, they're not into gaming. It's just they look at you like you are not serious about it, you know. I cannot really explain how to make it better.
Thanks. 2 more questions. Okay. Oh, Hunter has something to say.
I just think the most important for kids that want to play the game is support from the family and parents, because it's not football, it's not basketball. You just buy boots or sneakers and you play. You need to have really good PC, like keyboard, mouse, and everything, and it's not cheap. It's expensive. And if you would like to become a professional player, first of all, you need to have support from your parents.
I'm not sure if your question was more about playing or more just conversationally, like how to show people esports. If that's how I understood it. If that was the case, an easy thing to do is just show them some of the biggest tournaments in arenas with the crowd. I mean, you see SL1 Cologne. I always show that to people. It's like 15,000 people all over the world coming to, you know, watch a game being played. And another thing that helps is also show them the prize pool for the international. That will get a lot of people, you know, convinced that it's a big thing.
That will change their minds for sure. Who do we have next? Yes.
Yeah, hi. First off, thank you very much for being here. It's a great opportunity to talk to you and even play against you. My question would be, what is your favorite competitive map in Counter-Strike ever, and why is it Cobblestone?
Why is it Cobblestone?
For me or anyone? Well, Cobble was one of my favorite maps back then when I was in Mousesports. Not because I liked the map, but just the way it was played. That I enjoyed playing the map. Like, you had many things to do. You could do many fakes, setups, even many individual plays you could have done individually. But if I would have to go for one map, that probably would be Mirage.
Do you want to answer as well? You just agree?
I just agree, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. They're brothers, obviously. Yeah, one more.
Hi, thank you for the great panel discussion. Between CSGO and Valorant, do you think they can coexist, or is there a battle of survival for of the fittest? What do you think?
Who are you asking, actually? You know everyone?
Actually, it's for YNK.
Okay, YNK.
Yeah.
Well, I think they can coexist. I don't think they're overlapping as much. For me, Counter-Strike is the best FPS game there is. Anyone who starts playing Counter-Strike, they're going to get addicted to it, right? I think the problem is a little bit that, you know, Valorant is like this new hot thing. It looks sexy with all their agents and spells and whatnot, right? And like for a kid, you know, they're going to look at it and be like, "Ooh, this is like this new flashy thing, similar like Fortnite with all the stuff," right? And Counter-Strike is just there. It's the good old, reliable, right, consistent. So that's why I think that for Counter-Strike, the key thing to make it bigger in the future is content and to draw new players, because anyone who's played Counter-Strike, like we run into people, you know, even in Belgrade, in Serbia, who haven't played Counter-Strike for 15 years, but they still, you know, tune into the game, like to watch it or something like that, because it's super easy to understand what's going on, right, at least on a basic level, and there's a lot of hype around it. So I think there's no way that Valorant is gonna, you know, make Counter-Strike smaller or anything even bigger than that. You can even see some of the professional players who moved to Valorant, they're coming back to Counter-Strike because they don't enjoy the game as much, right? Like the bigger draw of Valorant for professional players is the fact that Riot is behind it and there's more structure to the competitive scene and whatnot. But I think just as a pure game, it can't really compete with each other. And yeah, I think we'll be fine in that sense.
I know we'll be fine. I saw just one more hand, and that's going to be the last question, right? Okay.
Hi, thank you. I was just wondering, YNK, since you're an analyst, what do you think is the most underrated team at the moment?
That's a good question. I think
it's a difficult one, obviously.
Maybe no. I can't even say they're underrated still, but Entropic, they're a very, very good team. They had a good run at the major, but you know, after that, up and down. But yeah, I think actually, you know, most nowadays there's really few underrated teams. I think most teams are overrated, or players are mostly overrated, right? But as an underrated team, maybe Entropic, like off the top of my head, I can't really come up with a. How about you guys?
Maybe you guys have an opinion. They don't care. They just smash everyone, so it doesn't even matter. We can go with it.
If I remember something, I'll tell you.
You can write in a chat in a game afterwards. This took a little bit longer than we planned, so I apologize to you guys, but the talk was just flowing. And personally, I had a couple of interviews with these guys. Personally, this one was the best by far. Thanks everyone for coming, and thanks everyone for watching via stream. Enough talking. It's about time to play video games, to play Counter-Strike. We're gonna take just a short break for these guys to you know, drink some water and recover a little bit, and then we're gonna go on the second floor and get ready for CSGO. Thanks again. Thanks, guys.